Religion is a search for universal and eternal truth. Christ was perfect. Understand? Buddha attained nirvana. I'll allow it. You don't like Hinduism because you're born into the social caste or whatever. That may or may not work in the future, but for political purposes, they're not going around. The priests are not the princes, so it's not technically heresy. But what I reassure you that Islam is not the brown Christianity. I assure you, it's not going to work. It's not the same God. It's not the object of Christianity to force you to accept the forgiveness of an omnipotent and eternal creator for something you didn't do. I welcome your rebuttal. I'll tell your whole congregation the expulsion from the Garden of Eden and the fall from heaven were parallel. And where you be? You'd be sucking eggs in a gutter, you false prophet. Is he saying they're the same thing? No, I'm not. I'm saying the Bible is the perfect word of God as it applies to you. That each and every one of us, individually, are created in His image. And if you act like a retard, I'm not obligated to fix it, but you're not the boss of me. Just saying, don't tell me I gotta believe something that's clearly false in order to be in compliance with the guy that created you in His image. As long as Allah continues His eternal goofball blind search for the fugitive messenger, there's obviously more than one God, because the messenger, Satan doesn't lie to God. God asks Satan, where have you been? And Satan answers him to his face. He's not in trouble. Saying that Satan is evil puts us in a position where it's like, well, if Satan punishes evil, why are you saying he's evil? So God doesn't want the sinners, so the devil gets them. But God can't find the devil? An omnipotent and all-knowing eternal creator of heaven and earth. The devil betrayed him? He didn't see that coming? I get that he deceived Adam and Eve, but he deceived God? He's got a job to do. Because God created us all in His image. And He told us to name the animals. And I made sure that we knew how to talk and how to distinguish. And He told us not to touch the fruit of the tree, life and death. And then when they tried to cover their nakedness, He kicked them out because they were having a baby. What makes you think you have the right to control where I'm allowed to work, who I'm allowed to meet on behalf of a human God, a God of humans? Our God is not a human. He is the God of humans. Islam worships somebody they can't find. And you derive your authority from not letting them. But in order to keep them interested, you generate all this bullshit. Well, it's a world wide web, Washington. Any rule we can break, they can break better. But this is psychology. This isn't religion. This is science. First, do no harm, you're not a doctor. And medicine is an art. And art is the law. Art is the law, but the law is a science. And science is always exact because it makes the tools that we need to create our art. So, democracy is an experiment, but it's our experiment. London, we got child molesters over here deciding whether or not, giving Washington excuses not to trust me or whatever. And if you don't recognize that as a threat to your sovereignty, I don't know if we can do business. And I like some of those drugs you have. The Ku Klux Klan, claiming to represent you, likes to sabotage your market rates and then force us to stay reliant on this. I don't think you would jeopardize your own sovereignty by blessing that. They're French, and they're the reason that our Cajuns fled here after being exiled, because we're Gauls and they like to follow us around. So we have a Stone Age corporate cult. It's a revival of Stone Age slave raiding traditions, exploiting the corporation to force us to forgive them. And some idiot was paying them throughout the war in Afghanistan. After September 11th, I went back to my unit to see if I could go back to work. And they didn't know to expect me, but they were there. But I left and tried to get on with my life. Meanwhile, these idiots are acting like I was in on it, and then they forgave it or blessed it or whatever, because might makes right. But you can't defend knocking down 3 towers with 2 planes and then lose in Afghanistan. Take our armor and give it to these morons. What are they going to do with it? Let's give one armored vehicle to every precinct in the country, regardless of population or crime rate. What is it, a getaway vehicle? Send us to war for 15 years with a pack of cards, a deck of playing cards, just to remind the whole world who rules this, who's really in charge here. If your religion requires force to make people agree, it's not the eternal truth and will of our Creator. If it can't be rationally explained, like, well, maybe it means something else, maybe the interpretation might have more than one application to reality. Maybe I should have kids in at least 5th grade by now if I didn't have homos using our cops to prove I was born that way.